Hey everyone, this is your host, Kaylee, and welcome to our Sanctuary podcast. In this episode, we will be talking about motivation, and I hope you all enjoy. For those who are just tuning in, the Our Sanctuary podcast is a series where I talk about my journey through mental health, physical fitness, and spirituality. This podcast was established to create a safe place for me and everyone to share their stories as well as inspire each other. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath. um, Disclaimer before we get started. I am not a professional, and I do not pretend to be. This podcast is me being vulnerable and sharing my own journey, hopefully making a safe place for others to do the same. If you try something that I say has worked for me and it doesn't work out for you, I'm sorry, but it's okay to try things and have them not work because everyone is different, and I do genuinely hope that you find something that works for you. Okay, so this is in video format and audio format. Wow, sorry. First episode, you guys. I'm excited. So today's... Sorry. I'm buffering. I have a script and at the same time I don't. Today's episode is focusing on motivation. And I thought it was a good subject to start because, on my personal TikTok, I have received questions related to motivation, and I did reference doing a podcast episode answering those questions, but also too, I can also kind of start with, my own motivations, my journey so far at this point regarding motivation, and then also my motivations as to why I started the podcast. So I thought that was a perfect first episode transition. So here we go. If you are watching the video on YouTube, hello, hi. I am looking down at my notebook so that I know what I'm talking about next. And honestly, right now, I have a lot of light glare on my glasses, so I'm just going to take those off so that I can see, and then the video doesn't look weird. Okay, so the first comment I received in my personal TikTok was a personal experience where motivation played a significant role. Now, I can't remember what I said in that video. I could probably pull it up, but I don't want to right now. So I'll try and think of a different one. There's honestly every day, there are situations every day that require motivation for me. The recent one, I went to a place that had line dancing lessons, and so I'm quite shy and introverted, so it took a lot of me being you know what, it's okay, you can do this, it's gonna be so fun, a lot of kind of self-motivation to actually buy the tickets and want to go. So I was okay, that's probably a recent situation. I know it's kind of finicky because why would you need motivation to go out to a line dancing class? Well, I do. I'm an introverted being, so getting the motivation to go out and do something is I need motivation for that. So there's a little about me. The next question is how to stay positive during challenging times. And again, I forget everything I said on those videos replying to these comments. So if you are the commenter and you're watching, I'm so sorry, but at least you're getting various answers. So But okay, so a lot of people are like fake it till you make it. I personally don't believe in that. I know it works because I've had to do that method before, so I know it works, but at the same time, I just I don't agree. How I usually stay positive is like I listen to positive music or like I watch positive movies, um I just surround myself with positivity. I read something positive. I maybe search up on Google positive quotes or like Pinterest or something. And I'm like, and it kind of reminds me to stay positive. I faking it till you make it. I don't I don't believe in that. And maybe that's like a hot take, but like come on. If I have to fake being happy, that doesn't translate to real happiness. It just translates to temporary happiness. So why would I just constantly fake my emotions? Because that's not being true to myself, and it only grants a temporary feeling. If you genuinely like say, okay, this is also me. Um but okay, I want to be less shy when talking to new people, okay? I'm not going to fake being less shy. I'm not going to act like I'm the most confident in the world, but I will let the people I'm talking to know like honestly like I'm a little shy, so bear with me. It's going to like take me a little bit of conversation to kind of open up a little bit more. And that's kind of being true to myself. I'm saying like, "Hey, I'm a little shy at first, but I have no problem growing with the conversation." So like faking it to make it does work, but at the same time, you should just be honest. That's just me though, like that. I don't know. If you agree, that's great. If you don't, that's okay too. Yeah, I think that's but mostly, yeah, look up positive quotes, watch something positive, listen to more positive music. That for the most part, that's the methodology, sorry, that I use. Um the last TikTok comment was advice to start on their motivational journey. And this was a tricky one to answer. I will admit that because I don't know. It's different for everybody, right? So it depends also on what you need motivation for. Say you need motivation within your career. You want to climb the career ladder and you need motivation in that area. You set goals. Like, oh, I'm going to submit this project early and then I'm going to work on some freelance projects and submit those when I can. It sounds like extra work, but you're also building your work ethic and you are kind of staying on top of your goal. So you already submitted your due project early. There's some extra products you can projects that you can do to add some value into your work, and then so you do those. You're already like I'd say 2 steps ahead. Um so setting goals and accomplishing them is kind of like a good start because you get more motivation when you realize you're doing the work and you're doing a good job. Um for if you need motivation for like building more relationships, whether that be friendships, romantic relationships, familiar relationships, like if it's a specific person, you say, okay, at least once a month, I'm going to plan a day to hang out with them, or maybe every 2 weeks, or every so often, or even if that's like a check-in text every day, kind of thing. Like, set goals, and then as you get those goals, you kind of like build your own motivation. What works for me is thinking where I want to end up. And so this kind of goes into like my motivations, but I won't get there yet. I'll first tackle this, because to start your motivational journey, you have to think about where you would end up. A lot of the time I ask myself, if money wasn't an issue, what would I do? Or if I won the lottery, what would I do? And yeah, everybody asks themselves that question, because like in this economy, I get it. But where do you want to end up as far as what you need motivation in? And then break that down into goals you can start achieving, and then it kind of works from there. Now, the tricky thing is you're not going to be motivated every day. You're not going to want to post that video on social media every day. You're not going to want to show up to work every day. Obviously, I mean, if you're sick, you can't. You're not going to want to talk to people every day. You know what I'm saying? So that's where motivation kind of goes hand in hand with discipline, and I think I mentioned this in one of my videos. You also need to have discipline, because there are going to be days when you run out of motivation. You're like, I am completely taxed. I've been so busy. I've been grinding. I've been working so hard, and I just don't have the motivation to do it anymore. That's where discipline comes in. The determination and the discipline to keep going even when you don't have motivation is the key. You see, with me, I mean, like, if you know me, you know that, like, on my personal YouTube and my personal social media, it takes me forever to post. Like, I don't know how many YouTube videos I've made that has been like, I'm so sorry for the late upload, because I have so much motivation. I want to do everything so badly. It's just the discipline to do it. So that's what I'm working on, is the discipline. If you don't have discipline, like, you're not going to end up doing it. Right? So when your motivation runs out, it's important you learn to have the discipline and the determination to want to keep doing your goals. Even though you don't have motivation, you can easily grow motivation later, as long as you keep going. A lot of people say the reward system works. So, like, say you have done 5 goals. Maybe in 5 different areas, maybe 5 goals in the same specific area, but you've done 5 goals, and then you reward yourself. Now, a lot of people will say, every time you reach a goal, reward yourself. I don't necessarily agree with that. I fall into that trap, honestly, because that gets expensive quick. If you're, like, you can reward yourself kind of with, like, oh, I'll do a self-care day. Like, there's ways to kind of be cheap about it, like, but at the same time, that's also how I've found I've lost motivation very quickly, is just if I reward myself after every goal, I'm kind of like, well, I mean, I only did 1 goal, so I'll just keep the reward and then not do the work. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so it can get expensive really quickly. That's why I'm like, every 5 goals, say, like, reward yourself with something, because then you're actually doing the work, you're getting the motivation you get from the reward, and then you're seeing the progress. Yeah. I don't know, like, that won't work for everybody. I found a way for the reward system to work for me. I mean, you guys can do it differently. It's all up to you. Next is my motivations, which I mentioned a little earlier. So, like I said, I have a lot of motivation. It's in abundance because I am a dreamer. Okay, I will think of the end of the walkway, not necessarily the steps of the staircase. I see the light at the end of the tunnel and I don't think about how to get there. So, motivation galore. It's breaking it down into steps that's like the hardest part. But we're talking about motivation. So, um as yeah, a lot of times it's just thinking about where I want to be. Like the questions I said earlier, it's like, what if money wasn't an issue, what would I be doing? If I won the lottery, what I would be doing? And so it's that answer that's kind of like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like, obviously I say travel because I love traveling. Um, but to get really specific, so I have, I'm thinking, sorry. I am very, how do I say this? I admire Asian cultures, and so part of that, I really want to learn to do martial arts and actually go to China and learn Shaolin Kung Fu. I think I'm saying it correctly. I'm not sure, I'm sorry. But so if I won the lottery, I would pay off my debt and just go to learn Kung Fu in China. And I'm being like serious about that. But also to the like if I think when I think more specifically about it, like there's stuff I'm doing right now that kind of aligns with that. For me, going to China and learning Shaolin Kung Fu is just like the ending point of my journey as a whole. Because already, right now, I'm kind of doing like at home Tai Chi and sword training, with just myself. And so for physical fitness, that just feels like a natural progression that I'm going to get to there eventually. For spirituality, I feel like it aligns because I love learning about other cultures and learning about, I mean, ancient China specifically. I love learning about it. And so I was like, spirituality, that actually also aligns. And then meditation, sorry. Yes, I am talking about meditation. I meant mental health. So right now I meditate and that helps me mentally. I'm not saying I'm like mentally great right now, but meditation has been helping me, and we'll probably do an episode on meditation eventually. But yeah, and so kind of mental health wise also too, I'm there. Like it just feels like for me a natural progression of my journey to just end up in China learning Kung Fu. But I mean, like, my favorite films are Kung Fu Panda and like Karate Kid. So that's also that's maybe like, yeah, that's maybe a dead giveaway also as well. So but like, I mean, I have like my motivation, I don't just like, that's not like my life journey. That's just part of my journey that I feel. I mean, obviously, like, with me starting my podcast, I have a motivation to be a podcast host. I love talking and talking to people and, sharing stories back and forth. And so, um, I'll get more specifically on why I started the podcast, but also too, like, I have motivation to be a podcast host. I grew up in musical theater and dance, and so I would love to be a singer and an actress. And that's kind of more personal channel related. I'm not gonna do a lot of that on here. So if you guys want to see my music and maybe acting stuff and some dance covers, that's my main channel. Yeah, that's my main personal channel. And also too, I want to be a writer. Like, I love writing poetry, and I want to work up to novels eventually, and short stories and stuff like that. So that's part of my motivations. That's what I need motivation for. And so, like, I'm already working on a poetry book. So I don't know how I'm going to publish it yet. But there's that. And so I have lots of things that I want motivation for, and I need motivation for. I have a lot of dreams that I want to achieve, and life is too short to not work towards following your dreams, in my opinion. And so that's also why I'm starting the podcast, is because I get to talk about this and be open. And originally I was just going to do it all on TikTok, but at the same time, I like engaging with people, and I like the thought of maybe having other people join the podcast, and maybe I'll need like more views to interview people, but and just talk about it. Yeah. And so I guess kind of that this ties into my journey so far. We're going to talk about my journey so far within, let's see, what should we start? My journey so far within physical fitness. Okay, here we go. I am in the process, obviously. I am not the fittest right now. So, like, but I'm progressing, honestly. Like, I've lost like more weight than I thought I would. Right now I'm kind of like, what am I doing? I'm doing Pilates, which actually has helped, and like I said, I mentioned sword training and Tai Chi, and so doing those have helped me like find balance and kind of work on core work, which is really fun. And so it's great, honestly. I'm not as flexible as I used to be. Like, like when I was younger, obviously I did dancing a lot. I was a competitive swimmer, and so I fell off the wagon. Definitely. And then I think COVID was just the worst for it. Because you couldn't go anywhere, and then it was just like, oh my god. But I'm finally kind of getting back on track. If you guys don't know, some people might remember, I started a fitness channel. And I ended up dropping it because I'm just like I said, I'm shy, and I just felt a little insecure because I saw a lot of people doing their fitness channels, and they were so much more fit than me, and they had a lot of things going for themselves. And so I kind of was like, oh, okay. And I didn't feel I added anything of value, and so I dropped it. And that's also part of the reason why I added it to the subjects of the podcast, was because I want to share it, because I have struggled, and I know other people struggle with physical fitness as well. So it's just like, maybe my journey will help others. And so my journey so far is, I'm not at my goal weight, but I'm getting there, which is amazing, and I feel so good about it. For mental health, I have been back and forth with mental health for a really long time. It's difficult. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, it's funny. It's the comment, like, it's all in your head, and it's like, obviously. Obviously it's all in my head, otherwise I probably would have gotten more help with it by now. I'm doing better than I thought I would be, but not the greatest. But at the same time, I'm getting there. Like I said, I meditate, And then, like, I've been reading some self-help books on and off, which have been actually pretty great, pretty insightful, and I'm slowly working to heal myself. And you might be wondering, Kaylee, why don't you just go to a psychologist? And it's tough because it's about finding one that's the right fit for you. And then when you can kind of identify some of the stuff that identify some things before they can, it's kind of just like, oh, okay. Like, oh, I did the work. But so, I mean, I will say I have come a long way from where I used to be mental health wise, which is great. It's awesome. But I'm getting there. Like, my journey so far is literally I'm getting there, summed up in one sentence. As far as spirituality, I'm getting there. I will say this. I do not have a faith or religion at this moment. I'm pretty open to anything, like I said, like learning new cultures, learning about other faiths, other religions, kind of thing. Like I'm at the learning stage for sure, and I'm open to learning about really any faith, belief, religion. So there's that. And yeah, I wouldn't say I'm halfway. Maybe like an eighth. as far as where I want to be, but I'm getting there. It's okay. It's gonna take time. And obviously maybe through the episodes of this podcast actually will help me as well. You'll never know. Well, yeah. Anyways, I don't know what I was saying. So now we come into the first episode special. Sorry. Of why I started the podcast. And yeah, it's kind of like a personal journal to myself, kind of seeing where I started and how far I've come. Like every podcast episode is probably gonna end like some love letter to myself. Kaylee, you're doing great. You're doing awesome. Keep going, kind of thing. But there's a lot of podcasts about self-improvement, and there's a lot of podcasts in general out there, actually. I wanted a different one. Like a lot of the a lot of podcast hosts I've seen, as far as also in the self-improvement category, have not really shared a lot about their own journeys. And so for me, that's partly what motivates me, is learning that's learning what helps other people. So I have the thought process of like maybe sharing my own story, my own journey in each episode under like the umbrella of a certain subject, and would help others as well. Like help me, but also help others. And so this podcast, I was like, oh, do I do it with someone else, or do I make it only about like only interviews, or do I do it solo? And I kind of came to the conclusion that I wanted to do it solo, but that I also wanted to do interviews as well. So kind of like, I'm not saying like I'd only interview influencers, because I wouldn't. I would still, but I'm not only them. Like honestly, my priority is you guys, my viewers and my listeners. Is talking with you guys, sharing our stories, and making a community that just feels comfortable and confident with sharing themselves, making new friends, and just relying on each other. So there's that. I'm honestly thinking of making a Discord also too for this podcast community, but I need a community first. So there's that. But yeah, so it's just like I want to interview like the fans, the viewers, the listeners, and I want to interview other people as well. And so it's kind of it's just like me trying to make the world a more better and comfortable place, one episode at a time, by sharing my own journey and hopefully encouraging others to do the same. And so that's really it. It's not like I started this podcast on a whim because I felt like it, and I'm not saying anybody else does that, but I'm just like, I really took a long time to think about it, because also too, originally I was gonna do just pop culture and talk about pop culture, and yeah, sure, that's great. But at the same time, it's like everybody consumes pop culture, so it's what's new to talk about, right? So I kind of landed on like my own self improvement, and then also maybe what's helping me will help others, and if it doesn't, hopefully they find something that helps them. And so yeah, that's really it. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry. I should have planned a better ending than this. I should have like wrote out something, but yeah, this is the first episode, so we can only grow from here. And I thank you guys so much for watching and listening. And if you have any questions, as always, I have my social medias, so you can find the podcast channel as Our Sanctuary Pod on X, or on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram as Our Sanctuary Podcast. And you can find me also, my personal channel, if you're interested, because I will be updating podcast related stuff on there as well. So you can check that out at as like I'm on X, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, and I'm on TikTok as Forever K XX. I think forever underscore KXX. So you can find me then. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye. Oops. Oh my gosh. My mouse turned off. Sorry. Bye.